As lonely and desperate as I am, I would never date a woman that has tattoos. Tattoos are probably the single most common and one of the biggest red flags that millions of women of all ages exhibit these days. Before I even get started on talking about all the reasons why I just can't stand a woman that has tattoos, I will say I can understand people make mistakes, especially when they're young. So, if a woman has a small tattoo or even a relatively large tattoo, if she got that tattoo when she was like 20 years old and she's grown to be in her late 20s or 30s or whatever, and she regrets getting that tattoo when she was younger, she wishes she didn't get it, then I can understand that, okay? So, in a case like that, yes, I would, in fact, date a woman that has a tattoo. Like, I wouldn't completely shun the person for their past mistakes. I can understand that, right? I've made mistakes, a ton of them, that I would hope a woman would be able to overlook. But, anyways, the reason that I say I would never date a woman with tattoos, it's very, very unattractive. And it is also, look, tattoos are associated with risk taking behavior, and it's associated with a lack of impulse control. So it's associated with impulsive actions. And for women, that usually means that if a woman has tattoos, especially if she has large tattoos or she has a lot of tattoos, that usually is a strong indicator that that woman participates in promiscuous behavior. Okay? That if a woman has tattoos, there is a good chance, not always, but there is a strong chance that she is a promiscuous woman. And of course, promiscuity, huge red flag. Okay? It's not even a red flag. Promiscuity is one of the biggest things that is indicated by a red flag. It's not the red flag. Promiscuity is the thing itself that we're trying to avoid. So it's not even a red flag, if that makes sense. So if a woman has tattoos, just plain and simple, she's probably promiscuous, okay? And that's a red flag. There are some cases where some tattoos are not as bad as others, right? So a beautiful woman with tattoos is still gonna be attractive, even if she has really bad tattoos. If it's a beautiful woman, yes, she's still going to be physically attractive. Like, I would still be physically attracted to her, but there is a mental aspect of attraction where I see the tattoos, I know, hey, this woman, she is a promiscuous woman, most likely. And if she's not, the other thing about it, because tattoos are significantly linked to impulsive behavior, and impulsive behavior is linked to promiscuity in women. But even if a woman is not promiscuous, there are other negative traits, negative types of behavior that impulsive behavior is linked to, such as just any type of risk-taking behavior. It's also something that can be associated with just self-serving behavior in general, the type of behavior that you would expect of a woman that has borderline or bipolar personality disorder. And I'm not a psychologist, so, I'm not speaking about these things medically, but this is just the observations I've seen in my life. Women that have tattoos are, look, I'm just going to put it in layman's terms for you. If a woman has lots of tattoos, she's probably mentally ill in some way, or mentally unstable, emotionally unstable. She's not going to be pleasant to deal with. And I also believe that tattoos are, look, it's also a red flag in the sense that if a woman has tattoos, it's a very masculine thing. It's a very masculine thing to go and get a tattoo. The process of thinking about permanently marking your skin in some way and then letting another man, because I would bet that 95% of tattoo artists are men, A woman let another man put his permanent mark on her body. And oftentimes that means that that man is touching the woman on sensitive, somewhat private regions of her body. Like, a very common place for women to get tattoos is like on the side of her hip or on her thigh. It is very common that a woman has tattoos on parts of her body that are usually covered when she goes out in polite society. Although women with tattoos are, because they tend to be more promiscuous, they do tend to sometimes not cover as much of parts of their body as non-promiscuous, non-tattoo having women do. But that's a bit beside the point. All I'm saying is that if a woman got a tattoo, that means it is highly likely that some tattoo-covered, knuckle-dragging, imbecile tattoo artist man, she let that man put his hands all over her and put his permanent mark on her. Because most people aren't going to the tattoo artist with a complete depiction, like a complete drawn-out idea of the tattoo they want. Most people go to the artist. They might bring some kind of sketch with them, but typically the process is the person describes what kind of tattoo they want. They describe it to the artist, and then the artist kind of, they use their creativity to come up with a design, and then that is the tattoo that the person gets. So when you see a woman that has a tattoo, that means that she let another man put a design of his choosing, a design that he created, permanently onto her body, okay? So if you go around messing with these tattoo-having floozies, I'll just say it, these women have let another man, sometimes a lot of other men, touch them. If a man has given a tattoo to a woman, then, essentially he has had sex with her, okay? I'm just gonna say it, When we talk about body count, we should not only be including men that a woman has slept with in that count, we should also include the number of men that have tattooed that woman. That should be part of the body count discussion. And no, I'm not joking. I'm 100% serious with that. And I'm sure that's how it feels for these tattoo artist chads out there, And a lot of these guys, they're punching way above their weight in some of these women that they're getting to, grab all over the thighs, grab all over the booty and all that just to put tattoos on them, put their permanent mark. Look, I know I'm at this point, I am forever alone. I know I'm not gonna have a future wife. There's no woman that exists that will ever marry me. I understand that. But still, I have times when I think about what would be my ideal wife, okay? And when I think about my future wife, my ideal wife, she does not have tattoos, okay? Because here's another thing about tattoos, just aesthetically speaking, I did say earlier, a beautiful woman that has tattoos, she's still gonna be beautiful. If a woman has tattoos and she's attractive without the tattoos, she's gonna be attractive with the tattoos as well. But the tattoos will make her less attractive. In most cases, the tattoos themselves will make a woman aesthetically less attractive, like less attractive just on a visual, instinctual level. But because of the mental association that tattoos give off, it's associated with, I see her, I know this is a promiscuous woman, this is a impulsive woman, this is a woman prone to, honestly, criminal activity, because that's part of it too. Another thing about tattoos is it can go either way. A woman that has tattoos, that either could mean that she has a overly anti-conformist attitude, that she is just an overly rebellious type of person, which obviously that's a huge red flag. But it could also mean, in a lot of cases, and it depends on the tattoo, you see a woman that has like a tattoo of a rose on her ankle, for example, or maybe she's got like the outline of doves on her wrist. A woman with a tattoo like that, she's actually on the entire opposite end of the spectrum, right? That type of tattoo signifies that a woman is super conformist. She has the most normie tattoo you can imagine. She's got normie it's marked on her body, you know? She might as well have a tattoo on her forehead that says, I am a normie, I am a brainless automatron, you know, just real NPC behavior, for lack of a better term. It's to the point now where, for me, and I think a part of this is mostly because, in a way, I'm kind of brainwashed myself in that I just so firmly believe in my heart of hearts that the vast majority of times when a woman has tattoos, especially if she has lots of tattoos, that is just such a strong indicator that everything about that woman's personality is things that I don't want, things that I don't want to be around. So it's to the point now, if I'm watching videos meant for adult consumption only, and the woman in the video has visible tattoos, I just turn it off. And which, by the way, that's a very, that's almost every video, because what is the statistic? I think it's something like, I'm not going to look it up right now, but I'm pretty sure it's something like 60% of millennial and Gen Z women have a tattoo. Okay, so it's more than half of women in my age range that have tattoos. And even in the older generation, a lot of people are getting tattoos at older ages now. My aunt's husband, who's like 60-something, he got a tattoo. He got a tattoo when he was, he may have been in his late 50s. He might have already been in his 60s when he got a tattoo. Because it was just, you know, tattoos reach that point where it's just a popular enough thing that it's so ubiquitous in society. Everybody's getting tattoos, even your freaking parents, okay? That's another thing. That's another part of why I would never date a woman with tattoos and why tattoos on a woman is just so unattractive. It's just bad taste. It's poor taste. When a woman has a tattoo, you know that that woman has poor taste in everything aesthetic. The movies she likes probably sucks. She probably listens to horrible music. She probably enjoys horrible art. Like, you go to the art museum with this woman, she'll be looking at like the BS abstract Jackson Pollock type stuff, right? Or this is, you know what? A woman with tattoos, this is how artistically stunted that type of person is. A woman with tattoos, that's the type of person that goes to an art museum and spends all their time in the photography exhibit, looking at photos at an art museum. Photography is barely art, by the way, in most cases. Tattoos on a woman is just such a incredible, just vibrant, loud red flag. I mean, there is no bigger red flag in this world than tattoos on a woman. And at this point, I see tattoos on a woman and I just feel disgust, repulsion. Even if it's a super attractive, super hot, beautiful woman with the tattoos, I honestly, like truly, do not feel much attraction for that woman because of the tattoos. I see tattoos and it actually makes the woman unattractive to me. And a big part of that is because of the association, you know. It's not the tattoo itself necessarily that is the ugliest part of the tattoo. Because like I say, a beautiful woman with tattoos, she is still like technically beautiful. But the tattoos do negate that. For me, at this point, if a woman has tattoos, she's not beautiful at all. She's not attractive. I don't care who she is. And like I say, when I'm watching that certain type of video and the woman has tattoos, you know, even if it's like a smaller tattoo, it's bad. And there's no such thing as a tasteful tattoo or an elegant tattoo. Tattoos are People get really mad when you use this one word to describe tattoos, but I'm going to say it because this one word really does describe tattoos for men or women. Tattoos are trashy. And if a woman has tattoos, it makes her look trashy. It just does. Okay? It makes her look masculine because getting tattoos is a masculine thing. Taking impulsive actions, that's a testosterone driven type of behavior. So if a woman has tattoos, she's participating in testosterone driven types of behavior. She is participating in masculine behavior. And I'm not saying that women that get lots of tattoos necessarily have higher levels of testosterone. It might be a case on like a statistical level. It could be. I don't know if anyone's ever done that study. But I don't think a woman has to have lots of testosterone to get a tattoo. But I do think that she is participating in behavior that is typically associated with high testosterone type of behavior. And the result is, when I see a woman with tattoos, whether or not she has high testosterone, I feel like, it's kind of like I'm looking at a man because it's a woman that's doing man stuff. She might as well be driving a lifted pickup truck, stepping out with steel-toed boots, coming home from her factory job, which I'm sure lots of women with tattoos are actually like that. I'm trying to kind of paint a caricature of a person, but this person probably exists in the millions. And obviously, some tattoos are worse than others. It's funny because the things that I'm saying, a lot of people will find this just highly offensive. You say that a woman having tattoos is a strong indicator that she participates in promiscuous behaviors. People find that offensive, but then those same people all understand, if a woman has a tattoo on her lower back, we call that a tramp stamp. And most people will agree that a tramp stamp is truly a strong indicator that a woman is promiscuous or lower class or trashy in some way. Okay? So if you understand that about tramp stamps, and you understand that about certain cheap tattoos or tattoos on certain parts of the body, like the tramp stamp or tribal tattoos, if you understand that that's trashy, then you should be able to understand the perspective I'm coming from, which is a perspective shared by a whole lot of people. You may not realize this, but a whole lot of people, even in your own life that you know, and you don't know this about them, there is a whole lot of people that agree with me on this. Every tattoo that a woman has is a tramp stamp. Tattoo on her thigh, that's a tramp stamp. Tattoo on her wrist, that's a tramp stamp. Tattoo on the inside of her pointer finger, tramp stamp. Okay? Every tattoo on a woman is a tramp stamp. There's no such thing as a tattoo that's not a tramp stamp. Okay? So if you think that a woman that has like a tribal tattoo or a woman that has, I don't know, like an infinity symbol tattoo, whatever the music note tattoo, whatever the stereotypical conformist tattoo designs are, if you can understand that when you see that type of tattoo on a woman, that is an indicator of something unattractive, then you should be able to understand my perspective that I see all tattoos like that, okay? Regardless of how good the design is. So, yeah, look. In truth, the fact of the matter is I am an extremely lonely man in my mid-30s. And look, yeah, in truth, yes, I would date a woman. I would probably date a woman that's covered in tattoos, okay? But I would not like, I would not like that I'm stooping to that level. I would feel like I'm doing something that I should not be doing. And I would feel guilty about it every day. But I would probably do it. But I wouldn't like it, okay? So I can admit that. And if I can admit that, then I hope some of you listening to this, I hope that you can admit that every tattoo a woman has is a tramp stamp. That's facts.